In Chapter 8 of Brave New World, John the Savage tells Bernard his story, and it's so exotic to him that Bernard feels as if they come from different planets. John's earliest memory is of lying in bed with Linda as she sang to him, but Pope, Linda's lover, lifted him out of bed and locked him out of the bedroom. He also remembers that the Indian women beat Linda for her promiscuity and that Linda turned to mezcal for a soma-like escape. He was happiest when Linda told him stories about the other place and when an elder related myths and stories about the Christian God. Linda taught him a bit, but he didn't really learn to read until Pope gave him the complete works of William Shakespeare. His reading once inspired him to try and kill Pope when he was in bed with Linda. Because John is prohibited from participating in Indian ceremonies, he makes up his own initiation rite into adulthood. Alone in the woods, his self-torture gives him a vision of time and death and God. Now sensing a kindred spirit, Bernard asks John, and Linda too, to come back to London. John is so excited that he responds with a quote from Shakespeare's Tempest. "Oh, brave new world that has such people in it." "Let's start at once," he says. Through John's story, Huxley draws parallels between Fordian London and reservation culture, and between John's and Bernard's isolation. John's story reveals his own conditioning to hate sexual promiscuity as something he associates with the loss of his mother and with the pain of being an outcast. He tells us how he comes to have a romanticized view of the world through Shakespeare's plays, which makes him unique in Malpace. But John's individuality, the thing that's so compelling to Bernard, is also the source of his isolation and pain. Banned from the community and left to develop on his own, John absorbs Shakespeare in a way that echoes hypnopedic conditioning. The point here may very well be that all beings are vulnerable to conditioning. By the end of the chapter, John and Bernard recognize that they both feel terribly alone. And for the first time, we hear the quote that gives the novel its title. John's awe of a brave new world produces dramatic irony here. As the novel progresses, his sense of Fordian London as a dystopia will come to match our own.